So today I'm going to talk about Qwik. Not very quick, but about Qwik. And Qwik is a very special framework. Part of my job today is to convince you that Qwik can do fundamentally different things that other frameworks cannot do. So let's get started. My name is Manu, and I work as a software engineer in the open source team at Builder, where we build Qwik and other open source projects. And before I built the Stencil web component optimizer, which is used in Apple Music and Amazon. I work in the Ionic Framework and also the Gene web framework, which is one of the most useful ones for Go, and did a lot of game engine development also in the past. So who in here know what the big O notation is? That's pretty good. In the last conference, was always like a marketing, more sales, and pretty much no one stand ahead. So for the ones that don't worry. The big O notation is as a tool that computer scientists use to understand how different algorithms behave on time for a specific input size. So imagine that the task grows linearly, and also the time, they will be talking about ON. Right? So there is a linear correlation between the amount of time or memory that the algorithm requires and the input size. It can get much worse than that. It can get exponential. We're talking about 2n or like this polynomial still, but it's much worse. And ideally, we'll be talking about O1. O1, it doesn't really matter the input size, right? It's always the same time. It doesn't matter is 1, is 100, is 1 million. So at Builder, we kind of use this notation to understand performance in a different way. So we look at different frameworks and build different apps from one component to out of 80 and see the amount of JavaScript that these components deliver. So all of them follow like a linear line. There is different slopes. Actually, it's very interesting, Svelte. So Svelte actually is the small application for a very small application. As the complexity grows, actually is the one that delivers more JavaScript. And the other thing is just Qwik. So Qwik is a framework compared to the ones here. But there is something fundamentally different here. And even if you don't care about Qwik, this talk is also about the concept or the primitives that Qwik uses. And there are more frameworks in the following years that are going to start to get some of these ideas. So sites require more and more JavaScript. And this is a fact. This is data from Web Archives. And we see that in the last 10 years, the amount of delivering JavaScript has been steadily increasing, right? But is this really a problem? In my slides, I have a QR code built by the Chrome browser. It's a very cool feature. So you scan it, you can check these performance insights. And what we do here is we tell you the current score, but also we tell you how, if you do like optimize images or CSS or JavaScript, how much you could be improved. We run this tool at scale. So we run this through the 50 most popular e-commerce sites in the US. And we can see that pretty much all of them are in the red area, right? Maybe this Amazon that does a little bit better with 50. But the other very interesting thing is that if we optimize the images or we optimize the CSS, the improvement is very little. This means that they are already doing a good job at this, right? But when we optimize JavaScript, we see that there is a drastic average increase, right? And we start to think that the bottleneck here is JavaScript. It's not like the images or the CSS. These sites are already doing a good job here. We used to say that there are two types of companies. The ones that prioritize performance at all costs, and the ones with bad performance. And I think this has a very deep insight. I think one of the things that, we think about this is that the whole community blames the developers for what a lot of things the frameworks are doing wrong. You might come to me after the talk and say, look, this is not really a problem to me. Like the performance is not really like something like it's bad or not. And I might agree with you. I probably agree with you. But for a lot of businesses, it is. There is really a correlation between having fastest websites and having like an impact, economic impact in your website. So this is some example. I'm not going to read through all of them. But for a lot of business, it is. I'm going to argue that the problem is that there is a system correlation. There is a system correlation with sites becoming more interactive and the amount of JavaScript. And we cannot be naive and say, sites should be like 10 years ago, because that's not going to happen. From the business point of view, they want the website to do all these things. The user also wants all these different functionality, and the marketing department wants to add these scripts. It's impossible to go like 10 years ago. So this is what I said before. Don't blame developers for what the frameworks did. The current trend is linear because the current frameworks are ON. The amount of interactivity of the site is going to probably keep going up, and so the amount of JavaScript. But what if, just what if, frameworks were O1? Then we are talking about a completely different problem. We can break this correlation between the amount of interactivity, the amount of complexity, and the amount of JavaScript. So Qwik achieved this through two principles, or two primitives. And one of these is resumability, and the other one is progressiveness. So these both kind of work together. But before getting into that, let's just recall what is hydration. Who hasn't never, well, no, maybe that's no one's going to stand the hand. So who knows what is hydration? All right. So hydration comes from this generation of frameworks like React, Angular, Vue, that they start to think like, let's make a framework that will work in the browser. It will do all these things. It's going to be a very nice DX. And then they find the problem that it will be nice also to run it in the server, right? And that's fine. But the problem is that when the server delivers the HTML, it's dead, right? It's just HTML. It doesn't have any interactivity. It doesn't do anything. So the solution is called hydration. It's literally putting some water to this dead plant. So here we see a timeline. The server is doing a lot of stuff. It's serialized, and then the browser needs to download mostly all the app, or most of the components being used in the page. And then it needs to replay. So every time you hear hydration, I want you to think about replay. This is work, it was already done in the server. It's not like doing other stuff. It's doing exactly the same thing. It's all waste. It's pure overhead. It does all the logic, then it might do some diffing, see that pretty much nothing changed, and at that point, the user is interactive. The app works. Until now, it was just dead HTML. So resumability is about, I'm playing a movie, I pause, I come later, and I just keep playing. I don't have to start the movie from scratch. So in here, it will be the same. The server will be doing the work, and then the application can resume what it was left. It can just, if a user wants to interact, it's just interactive. It doesn't have to do other things. A very cool analogy is virtual machines, for example. You can have a virtual machine in Amazon, and then you can stop it and actually move it and execute it in a different host. And it doesn't have to boot up. It doesn't have to do anything. It's literally, the application can be stopped and keep going. So I'm going to show why this is a very complicated problem. So I'm going to have a React application here. Let's see. So everyone can see? Let's do it here with hand. Cool. So we have two components, app and component. And there is a console log here. There is another console log here, and there is a click. So in order to run this console log, it's obvious that I need to run this, right? Like at some point in the browser, I need to run this console log, right? So that's exactly what is happening. So actually, that's it twice, but just an implementation detail in React. It just has to do it, obviously, right? If I interact, click here, and component. That makes sense. So how can we run this without running anything else before? That will be kind of resumability, right? Because if I had to run all the parent components and everything, then it's like, what's the point, like? So let me just open this one. So hopefully it works in the playground, but otherwise I know the trick. Hopefully I know the trick. Let me see. Actually, it's not Qwik. This is not React. OK. So this console is actually very cool, because it will tell you in the left that this console log comes from the server, SSR. That makes sense. The SSR is run in the SSR. Now I'm going to click increment. So notice here that I have the console log 2, and I have the click here. So I'm going to click, and notice also that the increment 0 is going to change, right? I'm going to see. Click. How the hell is this possible? How is it possible that it ran this without ever running this or this? And not only that, it didn't download it. So you might think, oh, this is maybe easy. You know, I can just take this code and put it here. Right? I could somehow hack something around. But then it's like, dude, but seriously, this requires some state. It's down there. And like this arrow function is closing around count. So I'm not going to explain it right now. I'm going to keep with the presentation. But just that's the idea of resumability. Let me just, I don't know what's happening here. No. See, it resumed. It didn't go into the first slide. Another interesting analogy is the server-side baking analogy. Right now, what is happening is that the server is cooking a bake. Right? It's getting the ingredients and doing the cake. But instead of sending the cake, it takes a screenshot, it takes a photo of the cake. And it sends the photo. And then the user tries to eat the cake, but obviously not. Come on, it's a picture, right? Instead, the server sends the picture plus instructions and and everything that needs. And then the client, the browser, needs to download, or no, not download, go buy to the grocery shop and get all the ingredients, make the cake, and then compare that the cake that he made and the cake from the photo is the same. And then it's like, yeah, here you go. You can eat the cake. What we are about is not about going back to the past. So a way to think about it is that in the past, the rendering and the interaction was separated. You will use something like PHP or Ruby on Rails. You will render HTML. And then you will have jQuery or things like that to add interactivity wherever you want. This was actually a very performant approach, but obviously it doesn't scale in complexity for the development, right? It's very slow, it's error-prone, there's probably duplicated logic. So all the current generation of frameworks have been focusing on how we can enable JavaScript to solve real problems, build real applications of it. The problem is that now when you're thinking about getting performance, there is this, you need to do iteration to add the interactivity back. You literally need to run the application twice. The future is not about going back. It's about solving this problem and thinking from SSR from the beginning. So it's also about getting all what it was learned in terms of DX from the current generation. It's not like going, it's like we are learning from that, right? So that's why Qwik, Marco 6 is also following this concept. I know for a fact that there is a very famous framework also thinking about this for the upcoming version. And here's just a cool demo. We just built this application for all these different apps. And well, of course, I'm giving a talk about Qwik. Qwik is going to be in the left side. But very interesting thing about this thing is that we keep changing the application and making bigger, and it was fun how to see other, like changing and Qwik was there. And it was perfectly interactive. Another thing is that all one frameworks, maybe not with this name, but they are not new. It's been around at Google for at least 8 years in a framework called Wiz. And Wiz actually powers the most used projects at Google. It powers Google Search, Gmail, Google Photos. The problem is that deeply coupled with their Google architecture, it's in Java, all the business logic is duplicated, it's a mess, right? But it delivers something very important. You can have extremely complex apps with extremely good performance. Amazon, more or less the same thing. They claim many times they cannot use the system generation because similar problems. So they have to hack around. They probably just like find replaces and things like that that maybe sounds dirty, but actually that's what solves the problem for them. Now I'm going to talk about the superheroes and superpowers and how Qwik can give this to you. So the first superpower is no JavaScript by default. OK, so let's try that out. So in this demo, if I have, let me see, this application, super simple, render app. We see the output HTML. Maybe I'm going to make it a bit smaller so we can see. Wait. So there is no any JavaScript, nothing surprising. I mean, the application is not doing anything, right? So I'm going to add an event listener here. So on Qwik, so very similar to React syntax. So very, very simple. So I'm going to do a console log, an alert. Let's go hi. So now it serialized this. And also some piece of JavaScript here. This piece of JavaScript is always the same size. It doesn't really matter if it's like 1 million components or one component is around 700 bytes. If I interact with it, I'm going to open the DevTools and open the network tab, and I click here. I know from the previous talk that putting a non-click in a paragraph is such a good idea, but just for demo purposes. It's not production. So let's click here. It printed the alert, and it downloaded this. Let me see. Oops. Yeah, that's it, right? It didn't download even the framework, right? I know what you may be thinking. Maybe you are now already making a question like, oh, but the latency when you click. In production, this is not the case. We already pre-download all the interaction paths. Everything that is possible in the website, they will be pre-downloaded, not executed, pre-downloaded. So if I do something a bit more interesting, like const variable, and say hi, and I'm going to put it here, right? I'm going to clean this. And I click, right? It says hi, but still, so now I downloaded a bit more things, but still downloaded this and the framework itself. So it needs to, in this case, to download the framework. I mean, if, it will be around 10 kilobytes in production. So in Qwik, if you don't do anything, there is never any JavaScript running. So the next demo is, actually, I want to run some JavaScript. So I have it here, the clock. So the clock app, I'm going to close this, not the spoiler alert. When I'm not interacting, and it's just a clock moving. So for the code for this, it's one component, a root component. I'm going to call it console log, parent. The clock itself is being used here, which also has a render clock and what we call a user client effect. I want this to run in the client. So when you run this, and you check this out, okay, it's working, but why? Okay. Okay, so it actually downloaded when it was visible. This is a configuration thing. By default, we do that, but it's explicit. There is an eagerness here. This is in load, on visible, on idle. So that's one of the first superpowers. Good, no? The second super powerful is that bundling is decoupled from the code. So if you want to say, OK, we need to split, there was a question in the previous talk about how we can split or like how we should do that. In Qwik, you don't have to think about it, because bundling is decoupled from code. You don't have to put dynamic import, lazy, because you don't really know how users are going to use this. So I'm going to show here, because it seems like every little piece is going to be a file, but that's not the case. Let me just go here, and I'm going to open a bit more complicated example, the use watch. I'm going to open here. So it's just, so it's a very simple application. And it has all these little symbols. It has this one, this one. This is another thing that Optimizer does. It takes a code, this one over here, and generates, and kind of splits the app in different like chunks here. So, and it generates all these files. But I can say, no, the untrigger strategy is single. So now it's just one file, for example, right? We have this hard-coded, like single hooks per component in line. But actually, I'm not going to spoiler this. There is another superpower coming. Let's go back to the presentation. Is the data-driven optimizations. When I interact with this application, and I open the console logs here, well, I think it's doing that. So every time I interact, we emit an event called QSymbol. And this QSymbol is going to tell me, in the details of the event, that this event was requested. This name here is literally what I saw before, is this thing here, the name of the symbol. What we are doing already is that we are running this code. It's literally a document at event listener in document, getting these QSymbol things, and we are just putting for our own doc side to BigQuery. We are, the implementation details is not relevant here. But we can do queries, and we can do all sorts of things with this data. We can do key means clustering to see how actually code is being used and how symbols are being used, and change this bundling. But the interesting thing about this is that there is no any code that the developers need to change. It can be even like a different team optimizes the application that another team built. It's literally a matter of, oh, no, types is broken here. It's literally a matter of using an API here to provide this information, and then the next time it's built, it will use that and improve the bundling. Another superpower is that you can use other frameworks, just like Astro, and you can use these frameworks without JavaScript. So I have this in the conference app demos, and we have Qwik React here. So this is a material UI button inside Qwik, and of course, not to surprise anyone, there is not any JavaScript. This is Vite development stuff. I can actually maybe filter it out. Anyways. There is something here. There's a canvas. Is dead. What's going on? So I'm going to go to the code and see what is going on here. So we have Qwik React, and we have material UI, so importing material UI, and I use this Qwikify component to convert a React component into a Qwik component that I can use in the rest of the application. Right now we have React, but it doesn't really have to be React. And then we have something very cool from was also talking this year about using visualization and stuff with 3JS. The problem is that 3JS actually needs to run, right? Because it's WebGL, it doesn't make sense to run this in the browser. So when I use Three.js here, it's just an empty canvas, but this is just as easy as saying client visible, for example. And now, when I scroll, oof, is React here downloading everything. Oops, maybe this is going to be a. Let me see if I can fix this now, otherwise. Well, it will be 3 years. I have such a bad day today with the demos. I can show it later if you want to check it out. At the end of the day, it's, I'm going to skip this one. At the end of the day, it's that zip fast, but fast website. You don't have to think about it. And why we are building Qwik, I want to connect it with a concept from databases, which is the CAP theorem. Who has heard about this, the CAP theorem? OK, it's a front-end conference, as expected. No worries. So the CAP theorem is this analogy. It's not really the CAP theorem, but basically the core idea is that you have, ideally, in this case, 3 things you really want. You want to have a lot of capabilities. You want to have functionality, tons of interactivity, A/B testing, metrics, animations, all this stuff. You also want to have a super nice API. You want to zip fast. You don't have to be worried about performance. You want to iterate fast, and even have all-hands development, because the sites in real businesses are not only owned by developers. So even you want drag-and-drop tools, CMS, on all these things. Then you want performance. You want a 1 of 100 lighthouse code, instant interactive. And the thing is that there is not anything here. Remember when I say that Google built these widgets? Well, that was there. They were making a trade-off between performance and capabilities. That's why Google doesn't use widgets for everything. It uses it for some projects, Google Search, Google Photos, and for others they use different stuff. So if you care about very nice API and very nice performance, you will use something like Astro. Like it will probably deliver this. And if you need a lot of capabilities and API, you will use React, Vue, Angular. What I'm going to say here is that Qwik can achieve all these things. And for us, it's part of a big stack or a vision of how to build websites that is complemented between different projects. So we have Builder. Builder is about this nice APIs for the other sides of the company. It's about being marketers, sales, whatever, iterate through the website and be able to change content, but using your actual components. You let developers build the functionality, not the content. And Qwik solved the first-party code problem. It's about a constant scalability. It's about this foundational layer where you can build on top. And then we also have Partytown. In this talk, I'm not going to talk about a lot of Partytown, but Partytown solves the problem of third-party scripts. I'm pretty sure that for a lot of the people in this conference, you are optimizing everything, and then at some point you get this ticket from the marketing department to add Hotspot, Google Analytics, whatever email thing, TikTok pixel, Facebook pixel, Instagram, whatever, and then everything is gone. All the work you did is completely gone. So Partytown solves this problem. We offload this stuff to a web worker. And it's not about running this code fast. We actually want it to run super slow. We don't need Google Analytics to be taking all the time. We actually just let it go when it can and not annoy the rest of the application. So this is it. This is my talk. Thank you very much.
OK, thank you, Manu. So the question time. First question is Svelte versus Qwik from various perspectives, like documentation, user base, developer experience, features, performance.
Which one?
Svelte, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Svelte?
Yeah.
OK. So I think, so Svelte were never thought to be SSR. Now they are doing a Svelte kit, and trying to solve this problem, they do hydration. Because really, a Svelte kit was, the use case of a Svelte is have a extremely easy to build like animations and stuff, a small kind of widgets. I really see Svelte as a widget thing. And for the use case it was created in New York Times, it was the best tool for the job. In terms of maturity, it's much more, right? It's been around for like 5 years now or something like that. Actually, a stencil was released at the same time. And of course, there's going to be more documentation, and it's stable, right? Qwik, we already released beta. There are production users using it. The community, it's crazy. It's everyone super excited about this. And the more you actually look and port an application to Qwik, the more mind-blown you are. So everyone here is like, super excited. Svelte has a lot of stuff for animations, as I mentioned, that we don't have yet. It's not the priority, I guess. But in terms of the properties that I talk about in this talk, I will be very surprised if Svelte can ever do this without just making a Svelte 2 and breaking the ecosystem.
OK, thank you. We have multiple people asking pretty much the same question. Are there any big or well-known websites built in Qwik already?
So Qwik, we released beta like 2 weeks ago. So we are working closely with a lot of people. And the interesting thing is that there is a lot of big companies interested. They totally get the problem. So sometimes for smaller applications, they are, or smaller companies, they don't really see the voice. We see a lot of interest, and I can't really talk about it because it's not released, but there is a lot of interest. Of course, the documentation, the builder side is made with it. The Qwik DOS is made with it. We have an amazing demo, e-commerce demo by Michael that gave a talk yesterday about how they use Qwik for e-commerce site. So yeah, we are there.
Yeah, and we had this question about e-commerce and the main target use case for Qwik, e-commerce, content heavy, internal data, dashboard, or admin tools, all of the above.
So depends where you look at it, everything, right? So Qwik is not Astro in that sense of has these trade-offs. Qwik has the same use cases as React, Vue, all this stuff. It actually mixes the line between SPA and SPA. When you build with Qwik, you have kind of the best things of both places. Of course, the most benefits, what you are going to be, I'm going to port or migrate my whole application to Qwik. The benefit will come more for e-commerce side. That's the master boss of front development. It's like extremely complicated application. Sites where performance is important for the business, I think that's the ones that are going to see a massive value. At the same time, the DX is like React, right? That's one of the things. We don't want to make another Wiz. We don't want to make another. The big challenge of Qwik was not to create all one framework. It's to create our own one framework with the DX of the system frameworks. So ideally, we want everyone to be able to use it, right? But of course, yeah, some use cases will get the most benefit.
OK, thank you. The next question. How does it compare to Marco as both are server-based? What is the advantage of Qwik?
So Marco doesn't have resumability. They've been talking for a long time about Marco 6. They still have to go there and prove it. I think we are making the very good trade-offs for businesses about how to author websites with it. So as everything in software engineering, there are different trade-offs. You might want to be able to use React developers in your team to be able to be productive since the first day. Then maybe Qwik is a good solution. Our approach to resumability allows the data-driven optimizations, the real metrics optimizations. And Marco is not in that vision. Marco 6, which is still not released, they want to have resumability. Disclaimer alert, there are more frameworks trying to do this. But they have a different approach. I cannot talk about it because I just hear what they do, but it's more about like threads of interactivity that are bundled together. So there are different trade-offs there.
Okay, thank you. The next question. What are the downsides of using Qwik as opposed to a framework which uses hydration?
There's always the big questions. So I think resumability is just the right approach. I just think that hydration doesn't have any benefit. It's just, it's pure overhead. From the perspective of the framework, with Qwik you have some overhead in terms of everything needs to be serialized. We don't serialize everything. We serialize only what is interesting for interactivity. So for Qwik itself, is that now you have to be a bit more careful about the things that might end up being serialized. Our solution for this is more like Rust. We are very inspired by Rust, how they ship these extremely complex languages with a lot of like new rules, but they solve it with amazing DX. So we are investing a lot in new ESLint rules, an amazing error reporting, tell you exactly when you make the issue what is the solution. So I will say that for the Qwik is the serialization of the data can introduce more friction.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Considering that Qwik seems to be communicating with a server a lot, how does it perform on bad connections, for instance, in Africa?
That's a good question. So in our testing, it's actually much better because it's not downloading the things when you click. What Qwik can do is two fundamental things that other frameworks cannot do. When we talk about time to interactive in other frameworks, we talk about one number. Time to interactive is 4 seconds, 2 seconds. But in Qwik, it really is not that. The time to interactive is in a spectrum. You might have interactions that are very important and have like a 0.5 seconds, because in reality, in an application, you don't have to interact with everything at the same time. And you can delegate on this data to make sure that the user, the most common action, is always there, and it's the first thing to be downloaded. And we can download, 3 kilobytes and be interactive. So Qwik goes long ways to use this waterfall, but allows to drastically reduce the amount of JavaScript. It really saves the JavaScript that are needed for that interaction. So that's a problem that we want to solve, and it solves amazingly well.
Thank you. The next question. If we can use React components in Qwik, could we look at it as a replacement for Next.js? If yes, what would be key differences?
Not really. So what you saw in the demo, or it didn't work, but please, I have stickers as well. So please come. I can show you that. I can give you stickers. I can show you the demo. But for us, having Qwik is like a trivial thing we implemented in 2 days, because we implemented this in userland, a component. Using the resumability primitives, we can show this. And it's an amazing migration path, or enable us to use the whole ecosystem of React libraries. But this is not our end goal. Our end goal is not to partial hydrate other frameworks, because then, the point you have this, it just downloads the thing and it just runs all the code. So it's different, right? Next.js, probably in the next versions, they will try to do things like partial hydration, which is what Astro does, but still, it's something manual, right? You are still now trading off. Now you have to focus in performance again. You have to design the islands, think about it. You're trading off. You're making a trade-off again with partial hydration.
Thank you. I really like the questions and the discussion is going on here, and I would suggest that we make a wrap up here. And like Manu said, please approach him and continue with your questions and get potentially some stickers. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.